The school's division of Davao del Norte is making information available to all who have unfailing commitment to education. As a response and entering the new normal in education due to the pandemic, the division conducted webinars on the crafting of an 8-week reading curriculum and the development of self-learning modules. Through the help and coordination of our teachers, the developed modules will serve as the primary resource to supplement or replace face-to-face or conventional mode of learning. Never has the dedication of the people who practice the teaching profession been spotlighted in the way it has over the past few months. We were shown in dramatic terms to what lengths teachers are willing to go to fulfill the crucial mandate they have been given: the education and welfare of the most precious members of our society.
It's the COVID-19 pandemic. We at Santo Tomas Central Elementary School SPED Center make sure that education will continue.
I am very happy that we have come up with more than 97% enrollment rate.
Sa paaralan man o sa bawat tahanan, sama-sama po nating paigtingin ang pagtutulungan tungo sa iisang adhikain.
This is a challenge in our midst. Despite COVID-19 pandemic, we'll open classes to welcome our learners to a new normal scheme.
Learning opportunities shall be available and learning shall continue.
Congratulations to us all for this historical feat. Sunog ito kalidad!
Sabay na babangon, sama-samang ahon, ihanda ang sarili sa hamon. Di papipigil sa pagsulong, sa kinabukasan nakatuon, para sa di kalidad na edukasyon. Eskwela na naman, sa puso ang kahandaan, handang isip, handa bukas, sa pagkakaisa ay may lakas. Ito na ang new normal, online learning at modular. Di na kailangang mag-face to face, gamit ang cellphone at radio base. Yakapin na ang pagbabago, pahirapan, kaya natin to. Lakasan ang iyong loob, sa bagong normal, sa bagong mundo. Kristiyano at katutubo, isang hanggarin saan patungo, ipagpatuloy pag-aaral mo, tagumpay ay naghihintay sa'yo. Balik eskwela na naman, sa puso ang kahandaan, handang isip, handa bukas, sa pagkakaisa ay may lakas. Ito na ang new normal, online learning at modular. Di na kailangang mag-face to face, gamit ang cellphone at radio base. Yakapin na ang pagbabago, pahirapan, kaya natin to. Lakasan ang iyong loob, sa bagong normal, sa bagong mundo.
Isang alang-alang natin ang ating kaligtasan, sa bawat oras at panahon, magpakailanman. Hangat palagi ng ating paaralan ang matuto, gayon din maging ligtas ang kabataan. Tayo ay magkaisa, halina't sama-sama, kasali lahat, kasama lahat, para sa lahat. Pilipinas, maghanda ka na, balik eskwela na, tara. Tayong lahat sabay-sabay, pagkakaisa ay may lakas.
Ito na ang new normal, online learning at sa bagong mundo. Sa bagong norma, sa bagong mundo. Sa bagong norma, sa bagong mundo.
Good morning! Welcome to our Day 2 virtual re-echo on keeping the Philippines competitive in English. Let today be the start of something new. How are you today, my dear participants? I hope you're doing good, of course. So let's just enjoy and have fun while learning. At this point, before we proceed, allow me to remind all our participants that your output of yesterday's activity, which is the Padlet, must be posted. Just click the plus sign, and for the output, who got the most number of hearts will be given token or award. And for our day 1 session, you may visit the Google Drive for your resources. Another reminders, let me remind also that our attendance link will be posted and opened at the middle of the session. And also, don't forget our evaluation. So once again, our evaluation link will be posted also later. And for those who haven't registered yet, please do the registration. And another reminder is our assessment of learning. So our exit ticket, just again, click the plus sign. And this time, let us have a roleta ng kapalaran, of course, for our impression. We will be chosen 4 districts. Mga 4. Bunot ta para sa ato ang district na impression. So, okay, then, so before we proceed, of course, we will be having our MOL.
Lupain ng bulaklak, pag-ibig sa ganda, ganda,
Once again, good morning. We are on the day 2 of our virtual re-econ, Tipping the Philippines competitive in English. This time, we call Ma'am Danica Magallanes, the teacher one of Tugana Elementary School, for the recap. Hello, Ma'am Dani. Hello, Ma'am Danica. Good
Hello,
morning.
ma'am. Can you hear me, Ma'am Irene?
Yes, loud and clear, Ma'am Danica. You may now proceed.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. My courtesy to our dignitaries in the division office, headed by our SDS, Dr. Didi Silva, our ASDS, Dr. Rebecca C. Sagot, our EPS in English, Dr. Allen T. Gilaran, our facilitators, headed by Ma'am Jovelyn J. Sarusad, and the members of the team, and to my co-participants in the second day virtual re-echo on keeping the Philippines competitive in English. A pleasant morning to all. Despite the
Good.
unstable internet connection, where we encountered audio and video problems, still we were able to finish day one successfully, hearing inspiring messages from our apps, Dr. Gilaran, and our ASDS, Dr. Sagot. We, teachers, are catalysts of change, thus reinforcing our learners and help them improve in the English language, and bridging the gap between language 1 and language 2 is for me the answer to why we do contextualization. And definitely, it is true that we contextualize for us. And for the learning to be effective, we contextualize to motivate, to be authentic, to be appropriate, and to be enriching. These were discussed by Dr. Allen and Ma'am Jovelyn during the morning session. In the afternoon, the different types of content-based instruction, the CBI, CLIL, and EMI, all aim for balance and meaningful learning between the language and the content according to the discussion of Ma'am Jovelyn, while Sir JB refreshed us on the importance of us teachers, helping learners realize that reading can be joyful, not burden. All of these and more were the gist of yesterday's discussion. Thank you, and God bless us all.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Danica. Once again, that was Danica Magallanes, teacher one of Taganay Elementary School, for the recap. This time, we call on our first speaker for the morning session, day two in our virtual re-echo, a participant on Keeping the Philippines Competitive in English, conducted by the Texas International Consortium, Austin, Texas, USA. And Master Teacher 2 of Enrile North Central University of St. Louis, Tuguegarao, Division of Cagayan, Region 2. Live on screen, let us all welcome Ma'am Marjorie B. Luyon to discuss about student-centered learning for English language learners in science. Hello, Ma'am Judy. Hello, Ma'am Marjorie. Good morning po, Ma'am. Hello, Ma'am. Good morning, Ma'am Marjorie. Marjorie D. Luyon.
Good morning,
Hello.
everyone. Hello.
Hello po. Good
Hello,
morning.
good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear po, ma'am. You may now proceed.
Yes, good morning. Okay, good morning, everyone. So, my topic today is the student-centered learning for English language learners in. So, is to be able to explain the characteristics of, value of, and strategies for shifting into even more student-centered teaching approaches. For the agenda of this session, we have the first, the basics, and then the four So what do you mean now, or how can we define the student-centered teaching. It is an approach that places the learner at the center of the learning, which means that the learner or the student is responsible for learning and teachers act as facilitators of learning. So in which teaching is designed for the students. Now another one, we also have the advantages. So in the student-centered learning, the advantages improves participation. It also improves retention of knowledge. It also develops problem-solving skills, and mostly it fosters collaborative learning, and also it includes learning more fun and facilitates personalized learning. For the disadvantages, this includes wherein approach to learning is not much as disciplined as a traditional method, causing students to feel overwhelmed and maybe not to pull as much from learning as they normally would. And this also would put too much independence for the students. Now, for the student-centered teaching, the teacher adjusts for the students, which means that the shifting should focus on the activity from the teacher to the learners. So in this method, we use the inductive teaching and learning, in which students are first presented with challenges. So in this approach, the inductive teaching and learning, wherein it includes the inquiry-based methods of learning. And then we also have the case-based instruction or the problem-based learning, and then the discovery learning. So in the conducting inquiries, the students are free to think of what they know at first. And then they should apply their knowledge and making meaning of what they learn. So in the four characteristics, we have there, the first one, prioritizes active inquiry and learning. So in this, especially in science, why do we bother? So the first one is, if we prioritize active inquiry and learning, it is like a problem-based learning, or what we call now the inquiry-based. So it focuses on moving students beyond general curiosity into the realms of critical thinking and understanding. And so it focuses on moving students to become curious, and they must encourage students to ask questions and support them through the investigation processes and evidence-based reasoning to reach a conclusion which must may they defend or present. So at this point, why do we bother when they have their activities? So we give them all the free will, and the teacher would make a point of discussion during experimentation. So we have there the Con of Learning of Edgar Dale. So it is a theory that the learners retain more information by what they do as opposed to what is heard, read, or learned. So how do you relate the con of experience to the teaching and the learning process? According to the Dale's con of experience, it provides teaching and learning methods that allow teachers to understand how to increase the retention rate of learners by involving the learner to participate in the learning process. So, in this, we remember more when we learn through talking and doing. So, with the saying, they say that tell me and I forget, show me and I'll remember, involve me and I'll understand. So with the saying, involve me and I'll understand, there are two models. We have there the deficit model or the science literacy knowledge deficit model, which attributes public skepticism or hostility to science and technology to a lack of understanding resulting from a lack of information. So as we can see in the deficit model, the students become passive. Why? Because it focuses on what children need to learn or worded even more negatively on what they do not know or they cannot do. Unlike in the strength model, the students become more active. It is because it focuses on what the person already know and what they can do, and they also build their ideas from there. So the two models speaks that in the deficit model, the students become passive, and then the strength model, the students become active. So in science, we have there the facilitating inquiry. In conducting experiments, we always start with what the students know. So in starting what the students know, we as teachers guide on individual learning paths, and then we make them time for reflection on what they have learned, and they create their exit tickets, and of course we'll let the students use technology to extend what they have learned. So in the facilitating inquiry, as we notice, when they conduct their experiment, we encourage the students to take notes on what they observe regarding the activities they have done. So they record all the things they could see and what they have interest on the activity they have done. So this is for the facilitating inquiry. Then we have the second one. We have their structures in peer-to-peer collaboration. So when we speak of peer-to-peer collaboration, it's the students who do the task. So when students do the task, it's less talk for the teacher. So we encourage the students to do group activities. Especially in science, they have to discover what they should learn. Because in peer-to-peer activity, they have to communicate with each other. and clear ideas among themselves, because they learn more when they are grouped together and they exchange ideas on what the things they have observed when they do their experiment. So in the teacher grouping activity, if the teacher is the center of the activity, this would only involve 2% of engaging students in the activity. So there will be less learning for the students. Unlike if the teacher allows the students to involve in the activity, students learn to turn their roles and talk what they know about the activity. Thus, they will actively learn, and it would include 92% of engagement in the activity, and more learning would be accomplished. So this is how group activities to be done, and students would be involved in more discovery approaches. Another one, when we have there our group activities, we also encourage small groups. It also includes 86% actively engaged students. So in the activity, when they perform experiments in science, grouping is vital because it multiplies opportunities for students to become more comprehensive. So they receive comprehensible input, and they try out the new target language. And so with group activities, they can construct their knowledge actively in a low risk and fun way. Mostly in grouping activities, especially in science, what would be their fear? Of course, when they are in grade 3, they use their mother tongue. But when they go to grade 4, we shift now to the English language. So the medium of instruction when teaching science is pure English. So we don't have to translate in the mother tongue as needed. So in teaching science in the English language, students have a fear. Why do they have the fear in the language, in the English language? It's because some students do not understand the language itself. So what would be the effective filter to this? The degree to which the learner is open to the input would be dependent on how the teacher would motivate the students to tell what they learned and to speak out what they feel. It's also the role of the teacher to boost their interest so that they know what they would tell and follow the directions given by the teacher. They also depend on the self-confidence of the students, wherein the students are feel free to speak out what they observe based on the experiments they had. And of course, the anxiety level of the students, wherein they feel free to say what they know and should explain what they have discovered and answer the problem based on the experiment they have discovered. So in the affective filter, the students must be well versed in English, in which we have there the L2 input. The language input in English should be absorbed by the students so that the learner's feelings can be expressed and there would be learning would take place. So the input of the learner should be taken place. So with this, they should explain well or express themselves using English as their medium of instruction. So in the Philippines, what happens when we have their group work after they do their experiment? Of course, when they do the experiment, we don't leave what the students have done after the activity. What we do for science, especially when they do their experiments, they have to report in front of the class what they have discovered based on the activities they have done. With that, the teacher acts only as a facilitator. Will let the students speak out or tell what they have learned based on the findings they have learned on the experiment. Now, in the group activity, we have there the match, wherein when they present their output, we should have how we rate their presentation. We have there the main point. We give them how the students synthesize and communicate their ideas based on the experiment, and then they should explain their evidences. With the evidences, they use relevant examples, experiences, and the facts, research to support their main point. And for the organization of the ideas, when they present their output, they should start with a very brief hook to catch the audience attention, follow directly with the main point, and then support it with evidence and draw a conclusion. For the presentation of skills, we should also take into consideration the eye contact of the students, in which the students would connect by naturally making all the segments of the students throughout the presentation. Another one is the body language, wherein using this body language can face the audience. They would stand tall and steady and then hold their shoulders back and feeling comfortable but natural. And then for the presentation, we also consider the vocal clarity, wherein they should speak loudly with clear pronunciation and appropriate intonation. And so, they speak slower than the usual pauses for attention and suspense. So in the group activity, mostly in science, we have there the rubrics to gauge how they really learn the experiment. So in the presentation of rubrics, it is where the students have their 80% active engagement. So with this, presentation of rubrics would be student-centered presentation time. Why do we allow rubrics when we have their experimentation? It is because in the first, before they would do the activity, they should be guided on the experiment that they are graded. So with the rubrics, students are guided that they should be rated on how they go on the experiment. So when they do the rubrics, we also have to praise them. With this, students become confident, meaning to say, they know that what they do in the experiment are right. We use constructive phrases also to check them that they are valuable or we appreciate the things they do. So in the constructive praise, we also praise them on the part where they are right, but never say that they are wrong. So we use constructive phrases in the positive way. So when they present their experiment, we always use them. I love the part where you presented on the discussion, wherein students also be praised if their answers are right. If not, we don't give them negative praises because this would lead to negative outlook for the students. And then we also appreciate them when they give their conclusions. In the part of the experiment, students also be praised on what they conclude based on the experiment and give the correct answer. So we have there the third part and the student-centered science teaching. So in the third part, it allows for freedom of choice. So we give them the topics, the activities, and the ideas wherein students allow to ask questions using open-ended questions. So in the open-ended questions, we also allow students to ask more and more questions. We also allow the students to reflect on what they have done in the experiment. So in the facilitating inquiry, we ask them the freedom of choice, in which they start with what the students know. And then, as teachers, we guide the students on the individual learning paths. And then, they also make their time reflections and then create exit tickets. And of course, in facilitating inquiry, we should allow the students to use technology to extend their learning. So in the facilitating inquiry, We, the teachers, should let the students design the question. So it is the freedom of choice. So in the first one, the students design the questions. Why? Why should we design the questions? So that they should be able to understand the purpose of experiment. And it also allows a question with definite answer. So they give their question in which they also give their answers using their hypothesis. Another in facilitating inquiry is they should emphasize the need to know, in which it involves students' inquiry to encourage them to ask more questions before they answer question. And then next, questions should be clarified, wherein in the clarification of questions, students find difficulty to understand the question. So in this case, the question needs to be simplified. So in simplification of question, this allows the students to collaborate together, seeking the right answer. And then next, students also create journals, wherein in experimentation, students are asked to write their reflection, and teacher also use rubrics as component for their critical thinking. And the last, for facilitating inquiry, they should define the learning goal or target, wherein they find an answer, and only this through this process where learning takes place. And that they would give their own conclusion based on the experiment. So we have there the limited choice in the topic. Say for example, we have there the small group projects, wherein they do research work. For example, they're going to choose a plant and then research based on that where plants in the garden are being exposed in aquaponics farm. So in this, we have the limited choice topic, wherein the question would be, do plants grow faster in soil or in an aquaponics system? So in the experimentation, in the experimental approach, wherein the students would discover how plants grow faster in soil or in aquaponics system. So in the choice in task, they choose the most effective way to communicate the results of the research in the school community. So we encourage them to use poster or table display or the gallery walk. We also encourage them to use the PowerPoint presentation and the laboratory report. So in the facilitating inquiry, they have the freedom and choice. So in the freedom of choice, it's more motivating and co-construction of knowledge, and it fosters higher order thinking. So with this, it also differentiates instruction, and they should also be accountable for what they have conducted in the experiment. So in the fourth one, in the student-centered science teaching, we have there, it maintains high expectation for all. With all the knowledge that they have gained based on the experiment, so learners would be equipped with the knowledge on what they have discovered. So we expect high expectations for the learners. And with that, with the strategy for a high expectation for all the students or all the children can learn. So what should we do when we have these strategies for high expectations for all? We should avoid labels. Never tell the students that they are slow learners. So we don't praise low achievers for simple tasks. Call on low achievers to answer questions, and they should wait for their response. And we have there the group activities wherein the students are being grouped heterogeneously. So we involve the slow and fast learners in group activity. Next, strategies for fostering high expectation from students. They feel their self and peer assessments with rubrics. They also instill a growth of mindset, and they allow for freedom of choice and have students set goals and action plans. So with this, they give their observation and reflection. So when students tell or express what they discovered based on the experiment, they also give what they have learned based on the experiment. What are the three elements of student-centered teaching that we observe? So, in the sort of descriptions, we have there the comparison between the teacher-centered and the student-centered. So in the teacher-centered, it's more of the traditional way, wherein the teacher controls everything. It's more of spoon feeding, wherein the teacher provides all the knowledge. And more tasking for the teacher because it involves 90% of the talking. And in the classroom setting, it's very quiet because only the teacher does the task. And the students only face the teacher. And of course, students only copy the information from the teacher. Students only follow the rules without questioning them. And questions are discouraged because it's only the part of the teacher wherein the teacher talks all the time. And in the teacher-centered, it only gives one correct answer method. And it's more individual, and the students only give one answer to the teacher's question. And it only involves more passive learning and more marks from the teacher. It only tells what the students want to improve. Unlike in the student-centered, students are given more freedom to act and choose. So students discover and provide or construct much more of their knowledge. So in the student-centered, it involves 90% active participation of the students, where the students do the talking. And especially, classroom would be noisy. And of course, when they are noisy, students interact together and they do face-to-face. With that, students can express their own understanding in their own ways. Students also agree with the behavior norms that create community and help everyone learn. And they also be encouraged to ask more and more questions. And with that, when they ask more and more questions, there would be many correct answers or methods. And with this, students will be more collaborative. And students' question would be more, and there will be more discussions with their peers. And of course, it's more encouraged that more self-assessment would do and more personalized goal setting. So that's the difference between the teacher-centered and the student-centered. So, how do we know that the students learn? Based on their activities, we let them encouraged to think and write down their initial thoughts anywhere or using any language to express their thoughts. So we allow them to write their own ideas. So when it's their turn to talk, we ask them the questions, listen to what they have learned, and they should share their ideas based on what they have discovered. So we have there the rule of the thumb for student-centered classroom. Before, the teacher does a lot of work, but during class, the students do most of the work. So with that, we encourage students to do the task because there will be more learning when they discover what they have learned. So with that, the only way that students can learn is based on what they discover. Because in science, we should not give the answers right there and there. Students should be allowed to discover what they have learned, correct their hypothesis, or we should correct them on what their ideas, and they should discover based on the experiment that their ideas may be correct or not. So with that, they give their conclusion based on the problem, based on the experiments, that they prove their answers through experimentation. And learning would be more productive because students are able to discover what they have learned based on their observations and based on their experiments. With that, thank you so much. And according to Alan Kay, the only way to predict the future is to invent it. Thank you so much for listening. Good day, everyone.
As Ma'am Marjorie B. Luyon, Master Teacher 2 of Schools Division of Cagayan, discuss the topic about student-centered learning for English language learners in science. Thank you so much, Ma'am Marjorie B. Luyon. And Ma'am, hello po.
Yes, yes, po. Yes, I'm still here.
Yes, Ma'am, we will entertain some questions from our participants po, Ma'am Marjorie.
Okay po.
We'll wait for the questions. Okay. All participants are encouraged to ask questions about the topic of Ma'am Marjorie B. Luyon. So once again, participants, please post your question in our comment box. And reminders, once again, please don't forget to sign in the registration. And of course, our attendance will be posted and opened later, and our evaluation also. So do you have any questions from our participants? Ma'am Marjorie, please stand by po.
Okay po, sige po.
This time, let us have a roleta ng kapalaran for the impression this afternoon. So we will be having our roleta ng kapalaran. So our impression, we will choose 4 districts for our impression this afternoon. So let's start with our roleta ng kapalaran. So once again, don't forget to post your output for this, for yesterday's activity, the Padlet. Just click the plus sign and our assessment exit ticket. I hope you're doing well for that. Please post your assessment and your Padlet. So for the resources of day 1, please visit our Google Drive. This time, we will have our roleta ng kapalaran. First, to give the impression, we have district of what district? Santo Tomas West District. Congratulations! You're first to give an impression. Mamayang hapon po, Santo Tomas West District. This time, second to give an impression, we will choose 4. We have first the Santo Tomas West. Second, we have yan. Santo Tomas East District. Once again, our second to give the impression, Santo Tomas East District. Next, we have the third district who will give the impression this afternoon. Asuncion District, congratulations. Once again, Asuncion District, the third one to give the impression. And the fourth one, the last lucky winner for our impression this afternoon to give an impression. The fourth one will be, we have, congratulations. Yung pang atong roleta ng kapalaran, excited. Kapalong West District, congratulations. Once again, we have our first to give an impression, Santo Tomas West. Next will be the Santo Tomas East, Kapalong, Asuncion, then Kapalong West District. Congratulations. Please assign your teacher to give an impression this coming afternoon session for our closing program. And this time, we will now proceed to our next resource speaker. So, no questions for our speaker for this morning? Yes? So anybody who will give questions? Hello, Ma'am Marjorie? Hello, Ma'am
Yes,
Marjorie?
I'm still here. Yes, yes, ma'am.
Wala pong question.
Okay, thank
You may, ikaw na lang po ang magbigay ng question, ma'am. Ikaw na lang po ang magbigay ng question. Opo. And for those who will give the correct answer, we will be given 100 peso load.
Ako na lang ba?
Yes po. You may ask question. The
Okay.
first one to comment their answer will be the one who will receive 100 peso load, ma'am.
Wow,
Yes,
that would
Ma'am
be great.
Yeah.
So, what is the difference between the teacher-centered and the student-centered learning in science?
Once again, ma'am.
What is the difference between student-centered learning for English language learners in science and the teacher-centered learning for English language learners in science?
So, for all the participants, please answer the question of our speaker, Ma'am Marjorie B. Luyan. The first one to comment their answer will be given and receive the 100 peso load. And, Ma'am, thank you so much. Do you have any final speech for the participants, Ma'am? Any final message?
Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy your session, and I hope this session would be a fruitful and engaging session to all of you. Thank you so much in advance. Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much. Once again, that was Marjorie B. Luyan, Master Teacher 2 of Schools Division Cagayan, Region 2. And next, our second resource speaker. She's ready? Not yet. So we will now proceed to our next resource speaker, Ma'am Jovelyn Sarusad. All right, I will give the floor to Ma'am Jovelyn Sarusad to explain about the Padlet. Yes.
Hello, good morning, everyone. How did you find our first topic for this morning? Okay, so we are glad that on our second day of this training, you are still with us, joining us because you have that eagerness to learn something with regards on keeping the Philippines competitive in English. So this time, I'm going to explain to you the Padlet. This is the one that I sent to you last night, yesterday. You are going, this is the Padlet actually. You are going to write your comments here, your reflection about the topic that we have discussed yesterday. The first one, the first Padlet is the thoughts on contextualized language teaching. So you are going to write here, what are your thoughts on contextualized language teaching? So we have here some of the examples of the output. So I need not to read this one, but you can see, I can see here the output of Ma'am Judith Manzano, the output of Ma'am Glevelyn Benisa Pakibot of Kasigang Elementary School, the output of Ma'am Ruchel Ribusura, and many others. So we encourage all the participants to write your output, to write your reflection about the topic that we had yesterday. You write it here. How are you going to write? Just click the plus sign. You see this one? This one? So this is how you are going to write your output, the pink one with the pencil, the plus sign, that one. Just click that one and it will automatically lead you to writing your comment. So as of this time, we only have, I think it's more than 10, but we encourage all the participants to write your comment here on this Padlet. And you know what's the good thing? You can you can put a heart. It's heart, it's not like. So you can put a heart on the comment that you like, and otherwise you can also add comment here. You see? Just like this one, you can add comment, you can write comment here just like that. So you can comment to the work of others. You can also read the reflections and comment on their works. And you can also uh, put a heart sign on the works um, of the works of others. And the post or the comment that has the most number of hearts, of course, will receive a token from us. So those who will receive the most number of hearts will receive a token from us. So I think I have clearly explained about Padlet. So if you have questions, don't hesitate to ask questions, write your questions on the chat box in our Facebook page. And we're going to entertain them. Okay? And for our assessment, for the assessment of yesterday's activity, we have this one. Okay, we have the exit ticket for day one. This will be our assessment. It's just the same thing. It's through the Padlet platform. Padlet, you can also use this one in your classroom, especially those learners who have internet connection, who have laptops and computers at home. So you can use this one, right? So in this Padlet, you're going to write the things that you have learned during yesterday's session. This is an example of an exit ticket. So if you are listening to the discussion of Mom Margarine earlier, she is talking about exit ticket. This is an example of an exit ticket, and you can also use this one in your class, just like this. And on this exit ticket, you're going to write 3 things I learned. Okay, it's just very easy because I know that you learned many things from our topics yesterday. So write the 3 things that you have learned, then the 2 things that you found interesting. What are the things, the concepts, the ideas which you found very interesting during yesterday's session? And the last one is that you're going to what question do you still have in mind? I know that you have questions in your mind and you're going to ask questions. Just one question in your mind. Okay. So as of this time, there are more than 10 who answered the exit ticket. This will serve as your evaluation. You can also include picture. Just explore on this platform, just like this one. We can see here, there's a picture here of someone who commented on this post. So this is an example of an exit ticket. So the 3 things I've learned, let me read this work of Dante Sarusad from Carmen National High School. The 3 things that he learned were to be competitive is to keep ourselves abreast with the current educational practices. Second, language competency is necessary for students to be able to compete globally. Third, teaching within context makes learning much easier for students. So these are the things that Mr. Dante Sarusad learned on our session yesterday. And he also found these topics very interesting too, the theme-based and the content-based teaching shared by one of the speakers. Okay, so those were the things that he found interesting. And yet, amidst those, he has one question, which is a very good question. One thing that would like to ask is, can we teach content without teaching the language? So Mr. Dante Sarusad was really listening because he has this question in his mind that can we teach content without teaching the language? Very interesting, right? So same thing you're going to do. You're going to write the 3 things that you have learned, the 2 things that you found interesting, and one question that you have in your mind with regards to yesterday's topics. So this is an example. This is the exit ticket for day 1 session. So again, with the exit ticket, okay, so this is the exit ticket. I know that many are writing already what they have learned. I can read it here. So you can also add comments as classmates for this webinar. You can also add comments. And again, the most number of hearts and the most number of comments will receive a token and a reward from us. So, do you have questions? Questions about our output? At the same time, questions with regard to the discussion of science. We are glad that our speaker is still with us and she can still entertain questions. Do we have questions? Okay. So we have no questions? I know that everything is clear to you. Kayo pa? Ang galing nyo kaya? Easy-easy lang yan. Di ba? Seconds lang yan sa inyo. So, nothing to worry because everything is easy. So, thank you so much for sharing with us your precious time. Kahit busy tayo, nandito pa rin tayo, nakinig at handang matuto. And thank you so much also for sharing your brilliant ideas. We really appreciate to read your brilliant ideas. Thank you. And once again, good morning.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Jubilin Sarusan. And this time, we have a winner for Ma'am Judilin's question a while ago. So her answer is, in teacher-centered, the teacher provides all knowledge, while in the student-centered, the students seek out, provide, or construct much of the knowledge. So this is Ma'am Judith Manzano. Congratulations, Ma'am Judith Manzano, for your answer. And of course, to all the participants who answered, thank you so much for your cooperation. Once again, congratulations. And this time, let us have our next speaker. So our next speaker for today's topic, an American language teacher scholar, and a master teacher too of Carmen National High School, no other than Sir Dante Sarusan. Hello, Sir Dante. will discuss about the open education resources. Take it away, sir.
Currently, my schedule is so I suppose that the one to present to you for open educational resources. As an introduction, so one of the essential ingredients in effective teaching is having a good material to work. So often teachers do not have such materials available and have to either make them or find them. So many teachers face an additional challenge, especially when they handle subjects that are not in their field of expertise. So, so not in their field of expertise. So the reason that they got this problem and they find it difficult to teach or to deliver their lessons. So one way to address this issue is by locating quality materials made by other teachers. So my talk for this morning will be centered on how to find teaching materials that we can use freely and legally in our classes. And this will be my topic, open educational resources for teachers. So in this presentation, you will learn about open educational resources or OER and the many types of OER that can be found online. So how to adapt this, as well as we will also try to learn about how to adapt this to our classroom needs by identifying the open educational resources that can be adapted. Second is to properly attribute the original creator through the use of Creative Commons. So aside from the open educational resources that I'm going to present to you, we'll also be dealing a little about the Creative Commons or the CC licensing, although it will not be the center of our discussion this morning. By the way, most of the materials that I use in this presentation were actually taken from my previous MOOC courses. So the presentation that I am presenting to you right now is taken from the content-based instruction. If you can still recall, those who are MOOCers and those who take the content-based instruction, of course, you know already the course. So part of it actually came from that course. And then another is from the integrating critical thinking skills into the exploration of culture. So the materials, the MOOC itself, the CBI, and then the integrating critical thinking skills is has a license. No, it provides license to that allows me to use or edit the materials as long as I cite the materials as well as its sources. So the same is true with other educational materials available on the internet. So thousands of teachers have made available on the internet their handouts, lesson plans, tests, even whole textbooks are made available in the internet for us to use it. So now there's this saying actually it is an English saying that says, "Don't reinvent the wheel, just realign it," by Anthony J. D'Angelo. So don't reinvent the wheel, just realign it. So this expression, okay, so this expression, "don't reinvent the wheel," is used to say that if there are already good materials that we can use, why spend time redesigning another version of it? Okay, so just use what someone else has already invested time in. So we understand that preparing materials, especially in this time of the pandemic, we have experienced difficulty in producing this module that we are using. So if there are already, if we found it difficult even preparing a lesson plan during the demonstration. That's actually a reality that all of us experience. Now, why bother ourselves if there are already available materials? It's just the same with why we will provide another solution to a problem if there are already answer to that. Okay, so that's actually the point that I am saying. So what is open educational resources? So open educational resources are teaching, learning, and research resources that reside in the public domain or have been released under an open intellectual property lines that permits their free use and revision by others. So if you are going to look at the screen, of course, may naka-different color dyan, no? Naka-blue, public domain, and open intellectual property license. So, OER falls either in public domain, and then the other is in open intellectual property license. So you might be asking, what's the difference between a public domain and an open intellectual property license? Hindi ba yan parehas? Of course, we will see in the next slides. In my presentation, we will see how the two differs. So OER, open educational resources, are meant to be shared and adapted to fit the needs of different teaching contexts and communities. So they are meant to be used freely with open access and with no cost. So why do we need to know about OER? So for us to recognize usable, adaptable, and shareable resources for our classroom. Okay, so another is to learn to adapt OER to fit your teaching context. So that's actually the benefit of knowing open educational resources. In fact, Zhao said that the world is our library. Okay, so the world is our library, hence there are vast resources that we can use and we can adapt in our own context so that the burden in teaching will be not that much. When openly licensed, types of open educational resources does not only include those printed materials, just like the lesson plan, that also includes full courses, that also includes modules, okay, open textbooks, as I have mentioned, tests, learning tools, course materials, educational games, videos, software materials, and techniques used to support access to knowledge. So there's a variety of it, no? In open educational resources. As I've mentioned, even the MOOC courses that we have is actually an open, falls under open educational resources. So what makes them open is the status of their intellectual property. So when we talk about intellectual property, those are rights that that provides legal protection to a creator for his invention or for his as a result of his creativity. So this is how we differ or differentiate public domain and open license. So OER can fall either in public domain or open license. So for example, in public domain, we can see there that its copyright ownership is waived. So when the material is in the public domain, so copyright ownership is waived. So meaning to say that if you are going to use the materials and then you are not going to attribute it to the creator, it's okay because it falls in the public domain. author gives away rights to the public to reproduce and distribute creative work. So you can reproduce, you can use it, you can mix or merge it with other material to create a certain work or certain learning materials for your students. So that is public domain. On the other hand, when we talk about open license, copyright ownership is retained. So meaning to say, we need to attribute it to the creator of the material. So author grants broad rights to the public to reproduce and distribute creative work. So although the author granted rights to use, to distribute the material, but then we need to attribute it. By the way, there are actually different licenses that falls under open license, and we will get to know those things in my next presentation. So Creative Commons falls under open license. Okay. So Creative Commons is a global non-profit organization that promotes the sharing and reusing of creativity and knowledge by providing free legal tools and including copyright licenses. So that's actually Creative Commons, or simply CC. What I like about Creative Commons is that they allow the creativity to flow. So when I prepared my slides, when I tried to look at, I think it's in the unsplash.com, I saw there a picture that says, we need to allow the creativity to flow. So that's actually one of the realization that I have, that indeed we need also to having this Creative Commons allows their creativity to flow not only by themselves but also to others. So there are actually 6 types of licenses that require a user to attribute or credit the original creator in any adaptation. So the BY or by attribution license means anyone can. When we talk about by attribution, kasi yung 6 na yon, the 6 types of licenses, all of it is BY, no? So it is a Creative Commons by attribution, meaning to say, hindi mo dapat i-forget to mention the creator. Okay? Kanino ba yan galing? So the BY license means anyone can reuse, revise, redistribute, and remix any Creative Commons by attribution license material as long as attribution is given to the original creator, as I have mentioned. Now, ito yung 6. So these are the 6 types of licenses by codes. So if you are going to look at the first, CC, and then you have the icon, merong icon na parang tao na nasa loob, and then BY. So that's by attribution. And then another is BYSA. Yung kabila naman, this one is BY by attribution ND. So ano ba yung ibig sabihin yan? Later, we'll discuss it. Then we have also by attribution NC, and then by attribution NCSA. And then we have the last, BY NC ND. So medyo libog, but of course, that's what we mean with that, no? So CC by attribution permits all uses of the original work as long as it is attributed to the original author. So you can use the material, you can distribute the material, you can make some changes with the material as long as you do not forget to attribute or to attribute it to the original author. And then another is yung SA. SA stands for share alike. So any derivative work must also use a similar license. So if, as I mentioned, we can make some changes with that. We can incorporate or merge it with other artworks. Okay. However, the type of license, if we wanted to apply for a license to that, it should be similar. No, it should be similar with the one where you get the original. So if the original is share alike license, meaning to say the derivation or the derivative that you have done should also be the same license. And then another is by ND. No, so that's ND means no derivatives. So by attribution, you're still going to mention about the author, but of course, no derivation. You can reproduce it, but no derivation. So licensed works are free to use, share with attribution, but does not permit derivative works from the original. And then you have also the NC. NC stands for non-commercial. So licensed works are free to use, share, remix with attribution, but does not permit commercial use of the original work. What do we mean by commercial? When we talk about commercial, of course, we mean that we cannot make a profit out of it. Okay, we can use it, we can make some changes on it, we can reproduce it, but we are not allowed to make money of it. So that's non-commercial. And then another fifth types of license is by attribution, BY, non-commercial, NC, and share alike. So does not permit commercial use of the original work and any derivatives from it must use a similar license. And the last one, the most restricted license is ito yung non-commercial and no derivatives. So it does not permit any commercial use of the derivatives of the original work. So that's the most restrictive. So of course, we will not dwell much of it, but I'm just giving you an overview because sometimes when we try to look at the materials that we are going to use, these are also some of the consideration, even in the different webinars. So we've experienced that there are webinars now we have problems about copyright. Okay, now you have to understand na if copyright restricts us from using the material because it is being copyrighted, Creative Commons actually is the counterculture to that. No? It's a counterculture in the sense that it allows us to use the material, to distribute the material, to reproduce the material. Again, it is not limited also to printed text, but it is also that also includes the full courses and videos. Okay. So this is how we differ public domain, copyright, at saka yung mga different types of licenses. So when we talk about copyright, of course, X yung copy and publish, of course, it is not allowed. Okay, so yun, that's how we differ it. Public domain, so that's their limits. You have CC by attribution, share alike, no derivatives, non-commercial. So yan yung kanilang mga limitations, as I have already mentioned. Great. So where can we find these materials? Of course, there are actually sites that, as you can see in your screen, of course, one of the sites wherein we can access these materials and we can utilize it in our teaching are this. No, we have here open educational resources. We can just type in www.oarcommons.org and then we will be lead to the site of this oarcommons.org. Another is Merlot. Okay, so just type in merlot.org and then you will lead to a large collection of materials for a wide range of subject and levels. So searchable and many results connect to your OER website. So some of these open access materials are actually connected with each other. So if you are going to go to Merlot, you might also be led to open some sources found in oarcommons.org. Another is the Curriki. So searchable OER, I've not tried this one, but the two, Merlot and Open Educational Resources, I've tried it. And then another is the Khan Academy. So extensive collection of high quality tutorial videos, as well as other teaching materials. Aside from that, Khan Academy also is actually meron din silang parang MOOC courses na ino-offer. So ito yung kanilang mga, when you are going to try to visit the site, of course, you will seeing this one. So ito yung kanilang parang makikita mo kaagad in their website. Okay, so aside from that, we have also the following. So we have Google Scholar. Okay, Scholar, but all you have to do is just type in scholar.google.com. Sorry, no, wrong spelling yung Google dyan. Typo error po. Scholar.google.com. So, of course, for those who are doing thesis, dissertation, okay, so ito yung talagang pinupuntahan natin, no? Scholar.google.com, and then you will get access to peer-reviewed online academic journals and books, conference papers, thesis, and other dissertation na pwede natin gamitin when we create our paper. Okay, so that's it. As I mentioned, Merlot, and then another is, I also mentioned this one, OER Commons, and then we have also Creative Commons na website, creativecommons.org. Okay, so we can also visit the site. Try to look at this picture here. Okay, so how do you find this picture that you are seeing right now? Okay, so when I try to look at it, of course, this is very great. So if you are a teacher in elementary and then you are teaching science about solar system, about the different planets, Earth's neighbor, you can actually use the materials and with emphasis on the sizes of the planets, because if you are going to look at it, almost na yung kanilang sizes, yan yung kanilang difference, no? So yung Jupiter na pinakamalaki dyan, actually, if you are going to compare it with Earth, I think 20 Earth yung Jupiter, no? Na kayang ipasok sa Jupiter. So using this material, we can actually highlight na ito pala yun, no? Indeed, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune are gas giants, and we can use these materials. Why? Another is this one. When you are going to teach different landforms, because I can still recall during my elementary, we are actually taught about the different landforms, no? Sa kuan pa man to sa una, geografiya, kasaysayan, at sibika. So we are taught about plains, we are taught about plateau, we are taught about valley. So ito pala yung valley, just like this one that you can find in your right side. And then we have also some plateau here, and then plains. So these are all photos. Okay, I am presenting this to you for you to know that we can use these materials and in order to help us, to aid us in our teaching. So this can be great. This can be great. Na pag gagamitin natin ito, there's no problem with copyright infringement. So gano'n, no? Because these are open sources. Only, do not forget to mention, if you have noticed, most of the photos that I use here, meron talaga yung author at the same time kung saang site siya nakakuha. Others also mention about the type of license. Sometimes it would appear CC 0, CC by 0. Okay? When we talk about Creative Commons by attribution 0, that means it is all you have to do is to just mention about the author at saan yan kinuha, but pwede mo yung i-reproduce. So, as I mentioned, hindi na natin yan babalikan. So those photos na ginamit ko dito, actually kinuha ko yan sa Flickr Commons. Okay, so another open educational resources that we can actually use. Another is yung unsplash.com. Maganda dito, no? So far, sa mga photos, if you want to see some photos na magagamit natin in our teaching, not only teaching, pero magagamit natin probably if we would like to make a post, tapos lalagyan natin ng magandang background, we can actually use unsplash.com. Maganda yung mga photos dito. And then we have also pexels.com. Another is pixabay.com. And then, if videos naman, so yan yung mga photos. If videos naman, we have also Vimeo's Creative Commons. So we can also use the sites na pwede tayong gagamit. For example, if we are creating a blog, so we can actually use this one as one of the sources. Even in YouTube. Okay? Even na medyo stricto yung YouTube, pero even in YouTube, meron silang tinatawag nating Creative Commons license. ano ba yung paano ba natin mahanap? How are we going to know no, na this falls under Creative Commons by YouTube? All we have to do is, of course, to type in, for example, ito yung screenshot ko in my presentation. You wanted to know about white whales, so all you have to do is to type in white whales doon sa kanyang search engine ng YouTube, and then afterwards, merong mag-appear dyan na filter just below sa baba ng search engine niya. May lalabas na filter. You are going to click the filter, and then ang mangyayari, merong niyang mga choices below, and then under the features is Creative Commons. Okay? So all you have to do is to click the Creative Commons, and then after clicking the Creative Commons, you will now be led to the different videos about white whales na yung kanyang type of license is not restricted to share. Yeah. So that's how you find open educational resources videos in YouTube. Another is, we have also jamendo.com. So nowadays, even students actually fond of making videos, of course, with background music. Okay? Sometimes, if yung background music natin is being copyrighted, of course, we will just be matingala na lang ta, no? When we post it, for example, in Facebook or sa Instagram ba, bakit nawala yung audio? Because we are restricted to do it without royalty. Okay? So, babayaran mo. But in Jamendo, of course, meron tayong mga background music that we can use na hindi ganon ka-restricted. Okay. So, just some advice when you try to search for open educational resources is for us to stay focused, because sometimes there are actually a lot of advertisements. So, when there are a lot of advertisements, what will happen is that we tend to entertain more on the advertisement rather than the material that you are searching. Then another is check for required materials. Okay, so when you use, for example, lesson plan, and then doon sa lesson plan na hinahanap mo, meron siyang tinatawag na video na nakalink. Okay, so link lang ng video, make sure na yung material pa rin that is embedded in the lesson that na nagustuhan mo is accessible, and hindi ka magkakaproblema during the delivery of that lesson. Then, yun, no? Lots of advertisements. Now, the last open educational resources that I would like to share to you is the American English, actually English Teacher Forum. So if you are going to type in Teacher English Forum, English Teacher Forum, or nakalimot ko na, basta kay Teacher English Forum or English Teaching Forum, either of the two, you will be led to the site, this site, no? Etong naka-display. So, English Teaching Forum. Now, this also offers a lot of materials, especially for language teachers. I am sharing this to you because this is one of the resources actually that we use during integrating critical thinking skills into the exploration of culture na MOOC course ko. And then you can see they're very rich. No? And of course, this morning I'll be sharing to you one of the resources, no? By David Courtney. So David Courtney actually, one of the contributor of this open sources na material, and according to him, there are 4 criteria for a better classroom activities. First, that should be fun. The activity should be fun. Another is that should be meaningful, and then interactive. And then another is that should be routine, frequent activities. So I'll be sharing to you one of the activities. I think he is the one who developed this one, is the Draw a Dream House activity. So this is one of the output. Okay. So as you can see, one of the output during the conference conducted in Cambodia and Vietnam. So if you are going to look at it, it seems that it's a work of an elementary. Parang hindi yan participants na mga teachers, no? Parang yung work na yan is done by elementary students probably. But of course, we will understand later why this is how it looks like. Okay, so draw a dream house activity. The rationale is that students must keep completely silent as they draw a house together. So this is actually a group activity. So, and then what they're going to do is they're going to draw the activity. Draw a dream house, their dream house, as a springboard. So, however, only if you are going to look at the material, by the way, the participants, activity has been used, you can actually use the materials from elementary, even in higher classes. Pwede natin gamitin yan. And then the materials is poster paper, one per group only, and then marker, one per group only. If you have noticed, one marker in a group only, and then optional scratch paper, one per student. So what will happen is that they are going to draw. Okay, in the pre-task, students brainstorm a stressful situation and house vocabulary. So just like ano ba yung kanilang dream house? So they will be thinking about it. And then, for example, there are 5 members in a group. During the task, groups share a marker to draw their dream house. So that's where the surprise comes in, because only one marker, and then what the leader will do is that hold the marker, and then all the rest of the members also will hold the marker, and then they are going to draw the house without communicating, without saying anything. So by doing the activity, if you are in a situation, of course, you will realize that there has to be a leader, that you need to allow others to lead. So those are important points. No? And then during the post task, a final speaking or writing task is optional. Okay, just questions. During the post task, you can throw questions like, how do you find the activity? What makes the activity very challenging in your group? So questions like that, of course, you will uncover na many things. So especially when we talk about cultural differences of students. Okay. So how activity 1 meets the criteria? Of course, when we go back to the criteria set by David Courtney, the activities is very fun. By just looking at the output, you will really laugh at it. Okay? And then meaningful activities, because they are involved, that involves their dream house, so that becomes meaningful. And then it is also interactive, because all of the group actually all of the members are involved in creating, or they might be involved in making a decision as to how they are going to make the window, how they are going to where they are going to put the door, what they can find outside of their dream house while having the activity. So that becomes interactive. Okay? And then routine activities. Of course, since this is a group activity, also met the criteria that it is actually a routine. Groupings always being done in classes, so that makes it a routine. So fun activities, meaningful activities, and then routine activities. Pwede pa rin yan. So pwede pa rin yun. Okay, so okay. There are some technical issues. Let us just wait for a while. Okay. Share screen. what I'm sharing to you is just one of the very vast sources that you can find in the site, Teaching English Forum. So I would encourage everyone. So please visit the forum and then navigate through it. As you can see in your screen, we have resources. You can click the resources. They are also providing parang journal, as well as even past year's journals. You can open it and then you can see their not just researches, results of the researches, but teaching strategies that you can actually adapt, because part of the objective of why I'm sharing these open educational resources is for you to find OER that are adaptable to your own context. Adaptable to your own context. So, yeah. So that's my encouragement to everyone. Some of you might not. These things are not might not be new to you, but for others, try. You try the site, and then you will be amazed with what it can offer to all of you. Okay, so I'm about to be done. Patapos na po ako. So what you're going to do right now is, meron akong questions, only 5 questions as a comprehension check. Parang nasa klase, ano? A comprehension check for you to know. For me to know also, and to assist also our own learning. Kung mali man, that's okay. No? All you have to do is just respond in the chat box. So yung letter of your choice ninyo, kasi multiple choice din naman. Letter of your choice ninyo, and then try to reflect while answering. Try to reflect on the scenarios that I'll be providing, or the stem of the questions, so that you will have an idea of regarding. You will check yourself as well as you will have also an idea regarding adapting open educational resources in your classes. So are you now ready? Ready na ba? Panda mo na nga ito ang mga kuha, no? Ito ang mga type. I don't know kung pwede ba tayo maka-price ani sa una nga makatama. So we not know about it. No? Tingnan lang natin yung ano natin dito, if we can have that one. But try. No? So quiz 1. No? Quiz, question number 1. Okay, so ito yung scenario. As you can see in your screen, I will read it twice. So Foscablo teaches math in his class. He found a lesson plan in Merlot, the one that I've shared to you a while ago, that he wants to use with his 5th graders next week. However, the lesson plan just names the type of activity called Luck Partners. So the activity, the name of the activity that he found in his lesson plan is Luck Partners, that the students must do. It does not describe all of the steps, only the name, only the steps. Does not describe the steps, only the name. So what should Foscablo do to adapt this OER? So choices. A, tell the students to look up the activity type in the internet. Letter B, nothing. Familiarity with the classroom activity types is part of the cultural knowledge that CBI students should be responsible for. Or cultural knowledge of students should be responsible for. Sorry, no. Parang hindi tayo na-edit. And then another is, letter C, Foscablo should write more detailed instruction, and he should give clear oral instruction when introducing the activity. Again, Foscablo teaches math in his class. He found a lesson plan in Merlot that he wants to use with his 5th graders next week. However, the lesson plan just names the type of activity that the students must do. It does not describe all of the steps. What should Foscablo do to adapt to this OER? A, tell the students to look up the activity type in the internet. Letter B, nothing. Familiarity with classroom activity types is part of the cultural knowledge that a student should be responsible for. And then letter C, Foscablo should write more detailed instruction, and he should give clear oral instruction when introducing the activity. So what's the answer? Meron na bang nag-answer? May nag-type in na? Participants, will you please?
So we have 3 participants responded. Okay. May nag-answer, no? Tingnan natin, tama ba yung sagot nila? The answer is letter C. Vocablo should write more detailed instruction and he should give clear oral instruction when introducing the activity. Now, take notice that I'm providing you a scenario wherein how are we going to do the adaptation since we are teaching or I am sharing to you adaptable OER materials. So when faced with the same scenario, of course, you know already what you are going to do. So those who got the correct answer, congratulations. Okay, so are you now ready for the second question? Okay, second question. Okay, so the teacher who wrote the lesson plan that Vocablo wants to use plays the game Clock Partners with her students frequently. Okay, because those students frequently play Clock Partners, they are familiar with the rules and do not need detailed instruction every time. So the reason sa lesson plan na ginamit ni Vocablo pala na hindi nakadetalye what they're going to do because the intention of doing the lesson plan as well as that the students, the participants of that lesson plan already knows about the activity. Okay, so which of the following term can be used to describe this phenomenon? Okay, again, the teacher who wrote the lesson plan that Vocablo wants to use plays the game Clock Partners with their students frequently. Because those students frequently play Clock Partners, they are familiar with the rules and do not need detailed instruction every time. So which of the following terms can be used to describe this phenomenon? So the choices are A, schemata, letter B, target language, letter C, ABCD method of writing learning objectives. So again, schemata, B, target language, letter C, ABCD method of writing learning objectives. So what do you think is the correct answer? Everybody. Okay. Meron na bang nagsagot dyan for question number 2? Okay. So I think meron na nagsagot. Let us see if your answer is correct. Okay. The answer is letter A, schemata. Okay. So that's it. No. Another. Number 3 questions. In the handouts that go along with the lesson plan that Vocablo found, there are some difficult words that he thinks his students will not know. Okay, so in the lesson plan that has a handout, difficult words, jargon, no? Meaning to say jargon ng mga words. So which of the following could Vocablo do to help his students stay focused on the learning objectives related to mathematics? So the choices are, tell the students to look up for words online. Letter B, if the words are not important technical terms that the students need to learn, Vocablo could substitute them with words that the students do know. Letter C, remove that section from the lesson plan. Okay, again, tell the students to look up for words online. Letter A. Letter B, if the words are not important technical terms that the students need to learn, Vocablo could substitute them with words that the students do know. Or letter C, remove that section on the lesson plan. So what do you think is the correct answer? Anybody? Okay, technical, may nagsagot na ba dyan? Parang ilan lang, ano? What about the others? Okay. All right, so thank you so much for those who responded. Let us see the correct answer. Okay, so the correct answer is letter B. If the words are not important technical terms that the students need to learn, Vocablo could substitute them with words that the students do know. So I'm providing you with on how are you going to adapt the open educational resources or materials that you can actually use in your classes. If faced with similar situation, again, so of course, that's as easy as that. Question number 4. Yes or no lang tayo, A or B. Okay? So while Vocablo really likes the lesson plan that he found, he thinks that for his students to do most of the tasks, they will need more time than the lesson plan indicates. So there's a problem about time. Okay? So is it okay? The question now is it okay if Vocablo changes the time allowed for some or all of the tasks in the lesson plan? What do you think is the answer? Okay? Is it okay if Vocablo changes the time allowed for some or all of the tasks in the lesson plan? Anybody? What's your answer? A, yes. B, no. Okay, so may nagsagot ng letter B. Okay, si Ma'am Mylene, Boris, Bartin, and we have also Ma'am Michelle Torica. We have Ma'am Michelle Bagnol. Hey, okay, so let's find out what's the correct answer. The correct answer for the question is letter A. Yes. Okay. So we can actually make changes because the resources is open educational resource na material na pwede natin i-change yung kanyang material depende sa tinatawag na ring time natin. Probably the lesson because some of the, if it is found in other countries, 1.5 hour yung kanilang klase, some are 2 hours, but dito sa atin only for 1 hour sa high school. But I found out also na sa elementary meron lamang 50 minutes, 40 minutes, tama ba? So we can actually make changes to that. Okay, we're down to the last question, question number 5. Okay, does Vocablo need to cite where he got the lesson from? Okay, so does Vocablo need to cite where he got the lesson from? A, yes. B, no. C, no answer text provided, or letter D, it depends. So what do you think? Does he need to cite where he got the lesson from? What's the answer? Okay, may nagsagot ng yes, may nagsagot ng no. Wala bang magsagot ng C at saka D? Okay, so the answer is, okay, so I'll now reveal to you the answer, and then after revealing to you, of course, this will be my last slide, no? Tapos na ako. Okay, so actually the answer is D, it depends. Bakit, sir? Of course, we need to go back in my presentation a while ago na open educational resources could fall under public domain or open educational resources. So if it falls on open, what I mean is if it falls under public domain, of course, no attribution needed. You can reproduce, you can use the material if it is in the public domain. But if it is open educational resource, hindi din naman naka-indicate, hindi din naman naka-indicate whether it falls in public domain or open educational resource. That's the reason that it depends. The answer is letter D, it depends. Okay? So, all right. So, thank you so much for the opportunity to share to you about open educational resources. I hope that you've learned something from my presentation, and then yun, no? Thank you. Maraming salamat. Unless if there are questions, I do not know how it will go. No? If there are questions, do I need to answer those questions?
Once again, that was Sir Dante Salusad, Master Teacher 1 of Carmen National High School. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, are you still there, Sir Dante? So from our participants, do you have any questions regarding Sir Dante's topic for this morning? Any questions? From our dear participants, if you have some questions about Sir Dante's topic for this morning, you may post your question in our comment box. Any questions? Do you have any questions? My dear participants, Sir Dante, do you have any message for any final message for our participants regarding your topic for this morning, sir? Hello, sir. Are you still there, sir?
I know.
So this will be my final message. If there are no questions, I just would like to say that the title of the webinar that we are doing right now is what is that? Virtual Re-Eco on Keeping the Philippines Competitive in English. So that's actually the title of our webinar now.
Now, so for us to keep ourselves
competitive, we need also to play by the rules. So that means there are actually restrictions. I'm not saying that all of the Filipino are actually get used to copy and paste culture, but in other countries, of course, you understand that they always give credit to whom the credit is due. So for that reason, we need also to make some changes with our practices if we wanted to be competitive. Of course, we need also to be respectful about the author of those ideas, author of those developed materials, so that we are going to adapt. So it's not just as easy as we are going to use this and then as if it comes from us without full recognition of those people behind, except if it is not allowed. So the concept about give credit to whom the credit is due. So it's just like also saying give to Caesar what is due to Caesar. So when Jesus is confronted with the question about giving, one of his disciples actually snatched a coin. Of course, the coin has two faces. One is the face of Caesar, and then the other is we do not know what is it. But when you try to look at one of the faces of the coin, give to Caesar what is due to Caesar. So meaning to say, we need also to learn to give credit to whom the credit is due. And then at the same time, we are all professionals. As a professional, of course, part of our ethics is really recognizing also those people na who is the source of idea. So sometimes we wanted just to do the easy way na as if sa atin ito, but of course as a professional, of course we need also to embrace that value that actually we can that is really a culture that is parang nawawala na, no, as a Filipino. We need to learn to give also credits to them. So we can also see that these people that are really have this restriction about copyright, about open educational resources, we can also see their creativity. And then tayo naman na hindi masyadong concerned, parang hindi tayo masyadong creative, right? Okay, so yan. So that's my take about this webinar.
Thank you so much, sir. And we have one question, sir. We have one question. Please read the question, sir.
Okay, so here's the question from Ma'am Bagnol. No? So is that given four criteria for better activities apply to both elementary pupils and high school students? Of course, the criteria better classroom activities by David Courtney is actually applicable from elementary, high school, or even in senior high school. You can actually apply it.
So, I hope, Bagol, okay ba yung answer ni sir? Okay ba yan, Ma'am Michelle? Any other question from our participants? If none, then Sir Dante will ask question for the price of 100 peso load. Sir, how many questions do you have? Okay, one question only. For those who will answer the question of Sir Dante, the first one to comment their answer will be the one to receive 100 peso load. Sir Dante, take it away, sir.
Okay, very simple. Okay, so your answer should be in one word only, adjective. Okay, so this describe to me in one word open educational resources for teachers.
And so describe in one word open educational for teacher. Describe it in one word in an adjective form. So do we have a correct answer? Sir, meron na bang nakakuha ng correct answer? Okay, not yet.
Of course,
Yes, sir.
wala pa din.
Wala pang answer.
Wala pang answer kasi.
Would you like to repeat your question, sir?
Okay, so in one word, describe to me open educational resources. After my presentation, if you have listened to my presentation, so describe to me in one word open educational resources. Okay, so we have already answered an answer coming from Ma'am Barkin. So Ma'am Barkin, I think it's Ma'am Barkin who first posted.
Yeah.
Her answer is actually informative. Is informative an adjective? Okay, so Ma'am Barkin. Okay, so thank you so much, Ma'am Barkin. Of course, some also who responded, were amazing. Ma'am Pagkol, Ma'am Kaluban, accessible. Okay, and then Ma'am Trabado, useful. Okay, so thank you so much. But the first one is informative. I think the word informative speaks not only about the open educational resources, but overall the webinar that we have right now, no? Yesterday and today. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Once again, that was Sir Dante Sarusat, Master Teacher 1 of Carmen National High School. And also, thank you to all the participants who participate and cooperate to our discussion and question and answer portion. And of course, congratulations to Ma'am Maylene for winning the 100 peso load. Thank you so much and congratulations. This time, we'll have some reminders. For those districts who have chosen to give their impression, please coordinate to Ma'am Jubilin or Ma'am Cheryl Casarayon. Once again, we'd like to encourage all the districts who have chosen to give their impression, please coordinate to Ma'am Jubilin or to our TWG, Ma'am Cheryl Rayon. And of course, this time, we will give you enough time to accomplish your Padlet. So para mahuman ninyo yung Padlet, comment to other participants' work. Pwede din kayo mag-click ng heart. Paramihan ng heart po. For those who got most number of heart, yun po ang mabibigyan natin ng token or award. So, we will give you the prize for that. So once again, I'll give you enough time to post your comment, finish or accomplish your Padlet. So this time, the attendance is now open. Once again, the attendance is now open, so don't forget to sign in your attendance. And of course, we will be given prizes for those or early birds, top 5 early birds later. So once again, you may now finish your Padlet. Kung wala pa nakapost sa ilang Padlet, please finish your or accomplish your activity for day 1 because we will be given another Padlet for our day 2. So we will give you enough time to finish your Padlet this morning for the day 1.
Wave Beats Music. Wave Beats Music. Wave Beats Music.
And we're back. I hope you're done with your Padlet and your exit ticket for the day one activity. And later, we will be also download the Padlet for the day two. So I hope okay na ang tanan, naka-post na ba, naka-comment na, nakapindot na og heart sa mga comment or sa mga work sa inyong mga co-participants. Kung ganahan mo sa iyang message, kung ganahan mo sa iyang ipang-post, pwede ninyo i-click ang heart. So padaghanay og heart para makakuha ta og award, padaghanay og heart. So later, so our attendance is now open. So katong wala pa naka-attendance, please sign in the attendance. Katong wala pa ka-register, please sign mag-register na po tayo kay napay mga uban na participants na wala pa naka-register. So inyong name, inyong school, ibutan jud ninyo sa inyong registration. So para po makakuha mo sa inyong allowance na 300 pesos load. So kung wala mo naka-register, wala jud mo 300 pesos load. So once again, thank you for all the participants who share their ideas, answer the question. Thank you for your cooperation. Then another link will be posted for our afternoon session. So we will be back at exactly 1 o'clock. Thank you so much and happy lunch, everyone.